I could not believe, like, just putting your mind to something that seems so impossible, and then we pulled it off, the two of us together. It was like our hard work and teamwork and dedication, and that we never gave up, and we just kept pushing, and what seemed impossible, just, like, we just didn't let that get to us.
You're listening to The Aerial Hour, episode number 9. The Aerial Hour is a show for aerial entrepreneurs and enthusiasts to come together, share ideas, and continue to grow our ever-evolving community. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another episode of The Aerial Hour. Before we get this show on the road, I have just a couple of quick notes. First up is I want to help promote your business. I want to create a community corkboard where at the beginning of each episode, I'll share something that's happening in the community before getting the episode started. So send me all the details either to theaerialhour@gmail.com or message us on Instagram. On that same note, I'll go ahead and promote our first event, Mr. Pole Dance America, which happens January 24th in New Orleans. If you want to know more about this event, you can head over to Mr. Pole Dance America on Instagram. This is an amazing event put on by Squeak Machine and Brian Wolf, and I cannot wait to attend. In this week's episode, I talk with Jessica King of Aerial Dragons in Ybor City, Florida. Unfortunately, Jessica's business partner, Kaley, was not able to make the interview, but her spirit was very much there. During this episode, we talk about how Jessica went from teaching in her backyard to moving into a 5,000 square foot space, learning to pay herself and Kaley, creating incredible shows, and finding balance in their partnership. If you want to know more about this episode, you can head over to theaerialhour.com and check out the show notes. Like and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and write us a review on Apple. It really makes our day. That's everything I have written down on my Post-it note, so I think we're ready to roll the episode. See you guys on the other side. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Aerial Hour. Today, I am joined by Jessica King from the Aerial Dragons.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going fantastic.
Yeah. So we are sitting in your amazing space at Ybor City CrossFit. You guys share the space, is that correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it is 5,000 square feet.
The whole space is 15,000 square feet, and then I think we have about 5,000 square feet of it.
That's insane. Huge. And you're a third-generation circus performer, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so my mom was in the circus growing up for 8 years. Wow. And then her mother did it too. I don't know how long she did circus for, but my mom wanted to be just like her. And then when I was growing up, I saw all her pictures and stuff from when she was doing circus, and I just had to be just like her. And I remember I would go to her shows and just be like in awe. Like I remember at 4 years old being like, "Mom, this is what I want to do. I love this. Please, when can I train? When can I train?" And they wouldn't let you start until you were 8.
Okay.
And so I remember those being like the 4 hardest years of my life. Like, can I start circus now? No? How about now? How about now?
What type of apparatus was she using?
My mom did cloud swing.
Oh.
Actually, she did all kinds of stuff because at the circus she was in, Sailor Circus, you could do something different every year. So you could try all kinds of stuff. And so her main things were cloud swing and flying trapeze. Wow. She did. Mm-hmm.
Which one were you attracted to, or just both? You just wanted to do it all?
Everything she did, I wanted to do. Yeah. Although I did try out for flying trapeze, and that is so hard and painful and terrifying. And so I remember auditions where you could either be in flying trapeze or high wire, and I decided high wire was for me and not flying trapeze. Yeah. So I actually ended up doing wire instead of flying trapeze.
Very cool. Did you ever want to do anything else, or was it always circus?
Always circus.
Always circus.
Yeah.
No plan B.
Well, I feel like I just love performing.
Okay.
Once I started performing, I fell in love with it, and I hated rehearsal. I hated the practice, and I would cry and complain all year long, and then showtime would come, and it would be the best 2 weeks of my life. Yeah. And I would just, every year, it would just re-amp me up for practice the whole next year again. And I just loved performing. So when I was growing up, I kept thinking, well, like, what else could I do that's performing based? And I started kind of doing acting a little bit in theater, but I didn't really like being somebody else. I wanted to be an aerialist, So I did go to school for theater, and I did try to do that. But even then, it was only the performing part I liked. Right. I didn't really want to be this method actor, reading lines and doing dialogue.
Yeah.
I would do it, but my passion was aerial arts.
Yeah.
Actually, just circus in general. I did lots of ground stuff too. So I did Bicycle Built for Five and Globes, and I just loved it all. Anything that you got to perform and be physical with.
Yeah. What do you love about performing?
I think just the adrenaline rush, the feel of the love of the audience, the roar of the crowd. When you, like cloud swing, so at the end you do this, you pump yourself up, you're swinging, and then you jump out and catch by your ankles. And the whole audience would just go, every time. And I don't know why that one gasp from the audience would fuel me for the whole rest of the year.
Yeah. I feel like everybody should experience being on stage. I still get nervous on stage. I can kind of now lean into that nervousness a little bit. But that feeling, that adrenaline rush, and I don't know what it is about being on stage, but I can remember those moments too, hearing like the applause, and it's just the best feeling ever. How often do you guys perform?
So I guess I've been performing for 25 years now. So I have waves where I perform a lot and then I don't, and then I perform a lot and then I don't. Right now I'm pregnant, so I'm in the not performing stage.
You're in the supporting stage.
Yeah, the supporting stage. But I would say our girls perform, we probably have quite a few gigs each month. So... But we also have a ton of performers, and you have to rotate them out.
Yeah.
Probably every other weekend at least we're performing.
Incredible.
And then we'll have months we have 3 events on the same weekend.
Wow. Wow. And you guys have all different types of performers, and we're going to get into all that. So let's talk a little bit more about the space that we're in. I just finished taking an amazing lyric class that was way harder than I expected. And Raquette was an amazing instructor. It was so much fun. So you have in your space, you have rope, silks, trapeze, lyra, hammocks, acro, flexibility, dance, aerial yoga, belly dancing, and all of these different apparatus. How did this start?
It kind of started with, how far back do we go?
Yeah, let's talk about why you decided to open up a space.
Yeah, so we started with an entertainment company. So me and my best friend at the time, Kaley, she's also my business partner, we were living together. We lived together for 5 years, and I was kind of getting gigs here and there. And I remember one night I had 3 gigs on the same night. Wow. And I was like, there's no way I can do this by myself. And Kaley was a trained dancer and a yoga teacher. And I was like, you're a physical person. I'm going to start training you to do aerial art so you can help me with these gigs.
Yeah.
And so I started training her. And then between the 2 of us, we were all performing. And then actually our other friend too that lived with us at the time, I was getting her out there. And so we started performing. And people would see us out performing, our friends would, and they'd be like, how can I learn that? Can I come train with you too? And I was just training them in the backyard at the time on my rig that I had. Actually, it was my rig growing up. I had a huge A-frame that we had like guide wired into not these nice portable rigs they have now. It was like a huge A-frame. And so I started training them, and then people would start showing up, and they're like, I want to learn too. So then I was like, well, maybe I'll start offering some classes in the backyard. And so I started training people. We'd have a few friends at first. There was like 2 or 3 girls that would show up, and then 3 or 4, and then 5, and then 10. And then when I had 20 girls showing up to my backyard, which was tiny, I thought, okay, Kaley, I think it's time for us to open up a space, you know? Yeah. So we decided we were going to throw a huge fundraising show to raise money to open the studio. And we'd also made the commitment to ourselves, and we said, okay, every single gig we do from here until we open the studio, we're going to save the money. We're not going to take anything personally. So Kaley and I lived off ramen noodles, which is not really healthy for an aerialist. But we did that for a while, and we just saved and saved. And I think it's just like a mindset. And she's a yoga instructor, so this is a lot of like yoga philosophy that once you put your mind to something, anything can happen.
Yep.
And we just said, every gig we're saving, every single gig. And, there was only a few at first, and then we kept getting more and more and more, and we were putting things aside. And then we started planning this show, this fundraising show, and we set a goal. And I think our original goal was like $15,000. And at the time, we were both just like servers, and she was a yoga teacher, and neither one of us were making very much money. And so that was, to us at the time, so much money. More money than either of us had ever had at one time,
Yeah, I feel you.
So we're like, is this an impossible goal? And we kind of like, I remember making the fundraising video and kind of laughing, thinking, is this too much? Are we asking too much? And we're like, no, we can do this.
Yeah.
You can do it. And so we threw the show, and we were super successful, and our community came out and supported us. All of our friends came out and supported us, and just the girls that we'd been training were helping us perform, and all their friends wanted to watch them perform, and it went phenomenally. We couldn't even believe the support that we got from our friends and how much people would donate. Like just regular friends would give us $1,000, and I couldn't even fathom doing that for another person.
Right, right, yeah.
I just could not believe that they loved us and supported us that much, that they were willing to give that much money. And so we raised it. I think we surpassed our goal.
Wow.
And then,
Wait, hold on. You surpassed your goal of $15,000.
Yes, we
okay.
did. Yeah.
No big deal. You
No
surpassed
big
your
deal.
goal. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And then at the same time, we were saving all our money, and I think we equally saved $15,000.
Wow.
So I could not believe, like, just putting your mind to something that seems so impossible, and then we pulled it off, the two of us together. It was like our hard work and teamwork and dedication, and that we never gave up, and we just kept pushing, and what seemed impossible, just like, we just didn't let that get to us. We're like, no, just keep going. There's no going back. And when your community supports you that much, like, you're doing it for them as well.
Right.
And they won't let you quit.
Right.
Because they're like, no, we need this in our community. We need this space. We need what you guys are doing. And we love you guys so much that we will do whatever it takes to help you.
I love this community so much for that. It's amazing how supportive we are of each other. And even just like with what I'm doing and hitting the road, it astounds me when people are like, I believe in your dream. And it gives me the courage to continue on. It's really incredible. What are some of the things that you had to sacrifice while trying to save up everything?
Oh, gosh. A lot of food. Going out, we couldn't go out as much. I feel like our fancy $5 I remember this being a thing. Like, I used to get coffee every single day. Yeah. And I added that up. I'm like, you're spending $5 a day at Starbucks on coffee, or you stop at the gas station and you get like snacks, and that's $10 you're spending there. Like, save that $15 every single day, and instead of spending that, put that aside. Save it. Like, why are you wasting this? I mean, it's not a waste.
No, but it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
So I just remember us like thinking about that and not trying to, like, we cooked a lot more at home.
Yeah.
We just actually went grocery shopping. We made our own juices. I remember cleaning up that mess all the time.
Yeah. Oh.
So, and then, you just couldn't really afford to do the same things. I remember we love music festivals. We love music festivals. And we were, when you're younger, well, we went through a phase where we would go to 3 or 4 music festivals a year.
Wow.
Which is like $300 each festival.
Right.
So then we just stopped doing that, and but it was worth it. It was like, we love performing, or we love going to these festivals, but what we love even more is performing. And wouldn't it be better if we could get paid to do this instead of the other way around? And we're not going to be able to do that until we've created this company and we've got the space and we've got the backing behind us. And so we just kind of like flipped our way of thinking, and instead of giving out the money, we were taking in the money for these events that we wanted to be a part of,
What an innovative way of thinking, and having like the forethought to be like, okay, this is where I want to be. How do I get there? And taking a step back and looking at the steps. I imagine like having a business partner, it's nice to be able to bounce back off of each other to kind of reach those points, because I know I get stuck in like struggle, you know, I'll think about an idea and be like, how can I do this? And just get stuck. But having somebody to be like kind of like a sounding board to figure it out together, I imagine is really beneficial.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And because you both get highs and lows.
Yeah.
And so we'd have moments where it was so hard and we just wanted to give up, but the other would be like, no, you can't. We can't. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. And then it would flip. And then I would have days where I was like, this is so hard. Like, how can we do this? Are we really on the right path? Is this for us? Are we even qualified? I mean, even with 25 years of experience, I still didn't even think I was qualified to do this sometimes. Like, am I smart enough? Am I like strong-willed enough? I don't know. And then I've got her right there as my best friend and partner saying, yes, we can do this. We can do this. And I mean, having a partner is hard, and you hear so many stories, horror stories of like, you know, partnerships that go awry. But we had lived together for 5 years, and I feel like if you can weather that storm.
For sure.
So we knew each other's quirks. We knew each other's like triggers, and we just kind of like, you know, it's hard to like switch to because we live together and work together at the same time. So we're with each other all the time. And there were moments where we're like, okay, we just need a break.
Yeah.
Get away.
Yeah.
But we just believed in our friendship enough, and that our friendship was strong enough that it could weather anything. And even when we were at our lows, it was like our bond of how much we loved each other pulled us through regardless, you know? And it is hard to be in a partnership, but it's also extremely beneficial.
Yeah.
Especially even like negotiating the contract for this lease. Like, like I felt like sometimes I don't have that strong of a backbone, and I would let people just kind of, you know, whatever they wanted, I would give. And Kaley's like the bulldog, like, no, we're going to fight for what we need. We're going to fight for what we believe in, and we're going to stand up, and we're going to do this the right way, and we're going to get what we deserve. And I was like, okay, thank goodness I have you as a partner. Thank goodness, because I couldn't have been like that, you know?
Yeah, it's a nice balance. So let's talk about how you did find the space. So you were teaching in your backyard. Too many people were showing up.
Too many.
And
it was raining every day in Florida.
Right. And people were still showing up, even
up.
if it was raining. So you've got all these people, and you're like, okay, we've raised the money, we've accomplished these goals, we're ready to find a space. How did you find this?
So we started with a realtor. We just got a realtor, and she was really helpful. She just like gave us access to her login and was like, here you go on there. Because she was sending us stuff a lot, but I'm like a researcher and I dig in deep. So I was like, no, I need more. And our requirements were really hard.
Tell me about those requirements. What were your requirements when you were looking for a space?
So, well, originally my requirements were that we had high ceilings.
Right.
Because there are other places that do aerial in Tampa, but none of them have the height that I wanted and needed.
Right.
Because I just knew that you can only advance to a certain point, and you're limited by your height. And I wanted to do really big things. I wanted to eventually be doing swinging trapeze or cloud swing, which were my favorites. I wanted to do like bigger drops, and I wanted to do more advanced stuff. I wanted to do lifting on pulleys. And I knew that we would be selling ourselves short if we went with a low ceiling. But when we first started out, we were the Keep Yoga and Circus Arts, and so yoga was a big part of it because that's Kaley's background. And so she wanted this like Zen space with like wooden floors and beautiful like windows to let the natural light in. And I loved all that too, but then finding the balance of the two together was going to be really, really crazy. So that kind of actually made it a struggle for a while because she would find a space she'd fall in love with, and I'd be like, but the ceilings aren't high enough. And then I'd find a space that I would fall in love with, and she's like, but this is not yoga. You know? And so we kind of went back and forth and back and forth, and it stinks that we kind of had to give up one or the other. And what we finally agreed upon was that there are a lot of yoga studios in Tampa, and there's not that many circus studios in Tampa. And that if we were going to sacrifice the aerial for the yoga, then we were going to be just like all the other yoga studios.
Right.
And that what our edge was and what gave us the made us different was that we did aerial.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had to sacrifice the yoga a little bit. And that was kind of really a bummer for Kaley.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Kaley, for doing that and sacrificing this thing that was a huge part of your life for our circus dream.
Yeah.
But at the time she'd grown to love circus so much and loved it and knew that from a business point of view, it made the most sense to go with the circus.
Right. It's like being a big fish in a small pond versus being a small fish in a big pond.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool. So then this place.
Yeah, so then we finally found, actually, I think we almost searched for 2 years. Or
Wow.
at least, because I think we started the search right away, even before we raised the money.
Wow.
And then a year into the search, we finally raised the money, and then we really started searching.
Yeah.
And so we'd found this other space that we were looking at, and it was like a cooler warehouse. I don't know.
Okay.
And we were going back and forth with them trying to negotiate something, and just stuff kept falling through and falling through, and it wasn't working out. And finally their realtor of the space was like, hey, I actually have these 2 guys that just opened up a CrossFit gym. They have super high ceilings. I don't know, they didn't need the high ceilings. She was like, but they are looking for a co-tenant. And so she brought us here and showed us the space, and I instantly was like, Kaley, this is it.
Yeah.
Look at these ceilings. Look at
Yeah.
this. I love this. And she was like, I don't know. We're right next to a train station. How zen is that going to be for yoga? How are we going to do yoga with CrossFit, with people dropping weights? That's not very zen. But it was perfect for circus. And it was perfect because there was these 2 other young entrepreneurs that were doing the same thing. This was their first business. They were just starting out. They had all these really cool, interesting ideas on how to start a business. And we just kind of felt like this is a great fit to get in with these 2 guys that are just starting their business, and they seemed really, really, really talented in what they were doing too, and they were going to be like pioneers in their industry, and then we wanted to do the same thing and kind of vibe off of each other. And so it just kind of worked out, and we got really, really lucky that we found the space, but it did take a long time and a lot of patience.
Right. And so you share the space, and this is a CrossFit gym as well. What a beautiful marriage. Do you guys get a lot of people cross-training coming in wanting to do CrossFit, but then seeing the aerial stuff and being like, oh, I'm going to try that?
I would say, well, yes, kind of.
Yeah.
It's hard because their community is really dedicated to CrossFit, and our community is really dedicated to aerial. But we have kind of gotten a little bit of crossover, so we offer, they give us 3 CrossFit classes for our members to come take.
Okay.
And then we give them flexibility and aerial yoga classes for their members to come take.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a smart idea. Yeah.
And so that's kind of worked out. And I think a lot of our girls have really started CrossFit, and they've gotten into it. I was saying earlier about how it's helpful because in the aerial community, we do a ton of pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. And so your back muscles get really big, and that's great, and you have beautiful backs. However, it starts to make you overcompensate because we're not doing any pushing. We're not doing the counter forces. And I wasn't quite aware of any of this before until we started training as hard as we did, even when we got to the space, because we were training all the time and every day and multiple classes a day.
Yeah.
And so I personally noticed I was having neck issues and elbow issues, and I was like, why am I in so much pain? And it was from overtraining just pulling. So we started reading and looking into it, and they were saying, you need to start cross-training, you need to start doing the pushing stuff. So that's when we started the partnership with CrossFit, and we started getting into it, and it was amazing. It was night and day how much better I started to feel when I started working on the pushing stuff.
Yeah.
And CrossFit, they do all of it, pushing and pulling and squatting. And,
Right.
I'd never even done correct squats in my life because I didn't need that as an aerial.
Yeah, right.
So that was amazing to start actually doing leg training and then all the pushing. And so I really feel like it was a very good blend of the 2 art forms, and it started making a more well-rounded aerialist.
Yeah. I also really like how it's all open in here. I'll make sure to post pictures of the space space, but it makes it feel like a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that vibe. It doesn't feel like it's 15,000 square feet. Like, you look out there and it's huge, but it doesn't have that, like, museum vibe, if that makes sense. It's got that family. Good gooiness.
You should stop by on like a Monday or Tuesday night when they've got 40 people and we've got 40 people, and it's just like packed with all this energy of people just trying to, better themselves and have fun.
Oh, it's the best. How do you promote aerial dragons at this point?
When we first started, it was all word of mouth, 100% word of mouth. It just, a friend would see us and then they would tell somebody and tell somebody and tell somebody. And then actually I learned through CrossFit that they only promoted their business through Facebook.
Okay.
And they use Facebook marketing because Facebook knows everything about everyone.
Right. They do.
And so I remember, like, I kept trying to do Facebook marketing and I could not figure it out. And then... But I've been just trying, and eventually you'll figure it out, I guess.
Yeah.
But we do mostly I have a girl that runs our social media for both the school and the entertainment side. We have 2 different people that run that. They're both social media gurus. I know nothing about social media.
Your social media game is amazing. And it's very consistent and on brand too. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so they're really great at that. And then I've been trying to learn how to market on Facebook and just like take out ads. But honestly, that's really all we do.
Yeah.
I've tried printing posters, and we'll put those up, and I feel like it's mostly for our decoration and I don't even know who sees them.
And then I imagine you guys also, from the your entertainment business, people are coming in from that, seeing you perform and being like, I want to try that. Do you guys utilize any like Groupons or ClassPass or anything like that?
First I was 100% against those because the people that brings in are not the dedicated people that we want.
Right.
And I just kind of felt like I'd worked at other schools where they did do that.
Yeah.
And it would bring in people that would try it the one time.
Right.
And what tended to happen was the classes would be filled for that 1 month that we're running the special. And then the people that were dedicated kind of felt like they got pushed to the wayside and they weren't getting the quality training that they wanted, while all these people came in and they were taking up the teacher's time and attention for one class.
Yeah.
And so I kind of felt personally at the time that wasn't worth it for a business because it wasn't the kind of people that are going to actually better your business and make it better, like grow your, the dedication of the students.
Right.
So I kind of didn't want to do that. And then when we were trying to build up our teen program here, because our adult program took off like right away, because that's how we started with just friends.
Right.
And so the adult program here is huge, but then I wanted to start a kid and teen program. And that's been a little bit harder because I don't know anybody with kids. Although now that I'm pregnant, I probably will meet all the new moms. So I feel like naturally it will grow when I get into the community, but I wasn't in the community, so I didn't know anyone. And so I thought about doing Groupon. I looked into ClassPass, both of those, but my struggle was they want to discount your prices so much. They do. And you get barely any return. And they had all these rules and stipulations, and they wouldn't do it just for teens. They wanted me to do it for everybody. And I was like, I can't afford to give away my membership for like pennies,
Right.
So I haven't actually gone through with any of that.
Yeah, I think Groupon especially used to be far more effective than it is today. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much you have to sell your services on Groupon for. Like, I remember one place I worked at, I think it was like, 3 classes for $30. She got like 15 of that and then had to pay the instructor as well. So you're not making anything at all. And then if that person doesn't become a full-time student or a dedicated student, you've essentially lost money. I think it is great for getting people in the door, but like you said, it's not always the right person. And it's great that you guys have been able to sustain just off of word of mouth and performing and being a part of the community.
Yeah.
How long have you been here for?
We are going on 3.5 years.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
In the first year, did you guys have a lot of struggles with your business, or because you had been doing the entertainment and all that kind of were already in a flow, or?
Well, because we went into this with zero debt, because we raised all the money to start off with, I think that set us up to just have, honestly, it was pure profit the first year.
Wow, really?
Because we just blew up right away.
Okay.
And so it was the first year, we went from 20 people in the backyard to all of a sudden I had 40 people showing up to classes.
In the first year?
In the first year.
Wow,
yeah.
that's incredible.
So it was like we were in the green and going up and going up and going up that first year. And I was like, wow, we're doing so great.
Yeah.
And then the second year was about the same. We were doing really good. But this third year, well, you learn as a business. We started to plateau.
Okay.
We started to even there was a couple months where we were going down.
Yeah.
And because we'd been doing so well the first couple years, we'd been buying more equipment and buying more
Right.
mats and buying this. And when we buying all these costumes
Right.
and we kind of went on a spending spree
Yeah.
and bought way more than we should have to start off with. And so then our third year was like a wake up point. Oh, maybe you need to change some stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to balance this out, you
Yeah.
know? So we had to stop spending so much.
Okay, so these are the things that you changed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we had to start actually marketing because we hadn't marketed for the first 2 years,
Wow.
really. It was just all word of mouth and then our social media, and that was it. And then we had to kind of adjust, and at first, Kaley and I were teaching all the classes.
Okay.
So
That's a lot.
it was a lot on both of us. And then also we're not paying a ton of people. So that's
Right.
why we were in the green.
Oh.
And neither of us took a paycheck for the whole first year.
Wow.
We did the whole thing. Again, we were just saving.
Yeah.
And we just thought we'd put it all back into the business.
Right.
Put it back into the business, put it back into the business, put it back into the business. So that's also why we were in the green. So then halfway through the second year, we're like, okay, I think it's time to start making a salary.
Right.
And that's when it was a big wake up call.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not making as much money as you
Right,
thought
right.
because you're not even supporting yourself
Right.
personally. So thank goodness I had a husband and she had her mom was helping her
Yeah.
out, and then she did get married too, so that was helpful in that first year
Right.
phase, but we couldn't have done it otherwise.
Right,
I mean, we
right.
did survive the whole beginning on ramen noodles. I don't even know.
Yeah.
So we were still kind of in that same saving mode.
Right.
But yeah, so then on the third year, we finally were like, oh, and then we had a couple months where we went red, and then I started freaking out
Yeah.
oh gosh, Kaley, what are we going to do?
Right.
How are we going to survive?
Yeah.
This isn't good. We have to actually do businessy things.
Yeah, right. We as upside down people have to do right side up things now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that you're talking about this because it's scary.
It's scary, yeah.
That security, but it is so important to pay yourself. I imagine that, it's almost, you could get resentful not paying yourself, giving so much of yourself.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So have you been able to now pay yourself?
Yes.
That's
yes,
awesome.
thank goodness.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was just like a learning curve. We had to
Yeah.
just switch tactics and just be like, okay, no, we're gonna start paying ourselves. And both of us got married last year.
Okay.
And we're both pregnant this year.
Oh,
So
you both are?
Yeah, we both are.
Oh, my heart. So sweet.
we're literally best friends and do everything
Yes,
together.
Good.
So with that, we knew how are we going to afford a wedding? How are we going to afford having children? You have to make money at some point.
Right.
So we just had to learn to start budgeting, how to start. And by that point, we'd had enough stuff, and I wasn't buying new equipment for
Right.
every show,
Right.
and I mean, I still kind of am what colors for this show are going to be appropriate? Oh, we don't have blue fabrics. We need to buy blue fabrics for this show. It's okay, maybe you don't need to do that. Make it work with what you have.
Right. I'm currently there. My husband is telling me the same thing. Do you really need that third throw pillow for the 2-seater couch that we have? I'm like, but I do. It's a different color,
Yeah.
But yeah, so needs versus wants.
Right,
and
right.
really just focusing in so that you can pay yourself.
And then, and so then we got a lot more instructors we brought on. And so then we were paying them. And so then we kind of had to figure out like how to start marketing more and how to start advertising, all of that. Budgeting, even I still feel like we could get better with budgeting, but we're trying.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody feels like they can get better with budgeting, you know? Yeah, that's definitely a learning curve for sure. So you've been here for 3.5 years.
Yes.
And you guys are still, so you and Kaley are still business partners. Can you tell me about how you split up the business?
Yeah, so when she got married, her husband actually lives in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
And so she had to make the decision to either stay, like she didn't, it was a struggle, and he's the nicest, sweetest, most amazing, talented guy in the world, and he's so hardworking, and I couldn't be like, I mean, I was like, no, stay here for me and our business, and what are you doing leaving us?
Right.
So that was kind of, some more of the ups and downs.
Yeah.
But he actually, so he builds tents.
Okay.
He has a tenting company.
Very
He does
cool.
high-end stretch tents.
Wow.
So we're a circus company,
Yeah.
and he's a tent company. So
perfect.
match me.
Yeah.
So she made the decision to leave and move to Fort Lauderdale, but how we decided to split things up was she still runs the entertainment side,
Okay.
and I run the school side. And it actually kind of has really worked out. It was a struggle at first trying to figure out, originally we'd both done everything.
Yeah.
We were both running the school, and we were both running the entertainment side, and we were both doing it all.
Yeah.
And sometimes we were kind of in each other's hair over
Right,
that
right.
and trying like, did you get that email? Did you get that email? Did you get this? Did you get that? Did you handle this situation? Who's doing payroll this month? And so
Right.
it was like, there was a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
And we worked it out that now she completely 100% runs the entertainment side, and she books out all the performers, writes all the contracts, pays all the performers, does all the that end is really hard because
Yeah.
you're constantly trying to sell yourself and trying to
Right.
sell your, like, upsell your, not, well, just like even get people to pay what you deserve for your services.
Right.
And that's,
like
struggle.
a whole nother topic.
A whole
oh
nother
my
topic,
gosh.
yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So she does all of that, and then I run the school. And so it's actually kind of really worked out because, so she manages and runs that whole side of the business, and then I have the whole other side of the business.
Okay, cool. So you both have your separate tasks, and I need to take this in my own life. My husband and I are now going to be together a lot more, and we work well together, but not doing things together. Like, there is a lot of overlap for us both, and I think we're also learning that if we can split up the task and one focus on one thing and the other focus on the other, then we get a lot more done.
And then trusting each other to handle the responsibility.
Right. Yeah. And you guys were best friends, so you already kind of had that relationship built. So it was very, I'm assuming that even when it was hard, you still had that comfort level of, she's got this. Like, I know she's got this. And same with her for you, I'm sure.
I feel like we had to develop it still.
Yeah.
Because you also, everybody's strengths, but you also know their weaknesses, And so I knew, she knows that I'm not good at networking and like talking to people. At least I don't feel like I'm as good as her. She's amazing. I'm okay. So she had to trust that I was going to be okay here, like bringing in new students and talking to new students and like empowering them and encouraging them. And I don't think I'm as good as she is, but I'm doing an okay job because I've worked with her so much and learned from her. And then vice versa, like now she has to do all the behind the scenes stuff, write all the contracts, work on the website, do all the promotions, and she's good at the talking side of things.
Right.
So she's had to we've both had to take on the part that we're not good at for the other company, And so for a while I was like, we were nitpicking each other. You're not doing this right. You're not doing that right. Oh gosh, you need to do this. You need to do that. Like I could have done that better. But that's not true. Like they are strong enough and talented enough, and they do care about the company enough to take on the stuff that they're not good at, and you just have to trust them with it. I
feel called out. I feel called out a little. I'm just kidding.
Oh, it was a battle to get there.
Yeah, but. I mean, and it sounds like your friendship is almost a marriage. There's ups and downs and compromise and building and growing together, and it is so important. And if I could just let go of these things, and just trust that somebody else is going to take care of them.
Yeah.
I get caught up in thinking, like you were saying, that I'm the only one who can do this and I'm going to do the best job. And it's just not true, especially when somebody has the experience. Like,
right. You just have to believe that you guys have the same goal.
Yeah.
Your goal is the same. You both want the best for your companies. You both want to be successful. You both want to succeed. Yeah. So nobody's trying to like undermine the other person. Right. Nobody's trying to like do a shitty job, you know? What we're there for is to be successful and grow this business. And yes, maybe one of us might be stronger at one thing or the other, but we have to let them grow into that role too and take on those tasks and become, you know, they're never going to learn if you just do it for them every time.
Right. Give them their process, their journey to it. Yeah. So I also want to talk to you about, so Kaley's running the entertainment side and then you're running the school side. Do you have anybody here helping you kind of, because there are a lot of classes and a lot of people and a lot of things happening. Do you have anyone helping you?
Yeah, so when Kaley left, I did take on a manager. Okay. So I do have somebody here that helps me out. She does, thank goodness, she's taken over all the emails and managing all the teachers. And she pretty much just runs the day-to-day stuff here at the studio. Yeah. So I can try to better the business, you know, and I can kind of step back. And I mean, I still teach a lot of classes. Right. But I've still tried to, like, you know, I'm trying to be the forward thinker and like, what can we do to be successful? And she's managing all the day-to-day stuff, which for any business, that is ideal. That's where you need to get to. Because,
why? Yeah. Tell me why.
Well, because when you're stuck in the day-to-day and the managing everything, you're so bogged down with all the work that you can never think about the future. You really can't. You don't have the time or the energy because you're just constantly in the grind and grind and grind and grind. And answering emails for me is literally the worst thing I've ever had to do in my life. That's not who I am. I am a performer. I like to be on stage. I like to wear sparkles. Like, I do not want to answer emails. And I still am terrible at emails. But thank goodness I have her to help me out with that. And that's been just like such a weight lifted off my shoulders that I don't have to answer every single email that comes in. And I don't have to manage every, like, you know, we have every day there's something wrong with somebody's account or their pass or like they need to sign up for this class or they couldn't figure out how to register or log in. And so when we get all these emails about that, and if I spend all day on the computer answering those emails, how am I doing like the accounting stuff? How am I doing the marketing stuff? How am I going to try to better the school and the teachers and get them people that come in so they can learn more and grow and educate themselves? So that's what I try to focus on is just like bettering the school, and she manages the day-to-day stuff. So I don't have to focus on that all the time.
I mean, you guys should really only be doing that type of stuff anyways, doing the things that you love and then the things that will grow the business. I think it's easy to just think like, oh, you know, even though I don't like to do this stuff, I'm capable, so I'm just going to do it myself. But I think a lot of times what we don't realize is that by delegating those things, it frees up so much brain space to create more. So working towards that for sure.
But Kaley still needs help because right now she's doing all the entertainment by herself. So if anybody out there wants to help,
heck yeah,
we need an intern or somebody for her.
Right.
Thank goodness I have a manager, but she doesn't right now. It's just her by herself.
Wow, that's a lot. And you guys do a lot of shows and things. I mean, let's talk about this. Before we talk about Hypnotica, let's just talk about some of the different styles of apparatus and people that you offer for performance. I saw fire dancers, mermaids, stilt walkers. I think I saw like an inflatable ball thing. Aerial bartending. Like, what are these things?
So, like when we started, we were just doing aerial, but then we would get requests for weird things. Or people would be like, okay, well, we've hired you for aerial before, but what else can you do? What else could you do? And so next thing I know, I was like, well, you know, I've seen this orb, like the ball, the inflatable ball that you get in and can do contortion. I was like, well, we have a girl that does contortion. Let's put her in a ball on the pool, just step it up a notch.
Yeah.
So we got that, and then we saw other entertainment we just got inspired, and we saw more things, and you get more and more into the community, and you start seeing what else is out there. And Kaley would be better at talking about this, but we make more money on just like the champagne skirts.
Oh,
because
really?
People don't really have the budget for huge
rigs
and stuff, and like they do want aerial, and we can do it a lot. We do perform it a lot, but we started actually really making money because we could sell the aerial, the champagne bartending, the skirt, and we made everything into a package. And when it was a package, then it became like a whole production that they were hiring, not just like one girl doing one thing. Only because it's like we've come to the conclusion over time and doing this for so long that it's not worth our time to just pack up the whole rig, put it in our car, drive it to the event, get ready, we spend 2 to 3 hours on makeup. We spend hours finding costumes, tons of time on rehearsal to then go do one aerial performance.
Right.
And financially for them, it's not worth it paying to rent the rig, paying the performer, paying the extra time, like the travel fees. Like if you're going to pay all that anyways, you might as well get a huge production. So then we wanted to offer as many things as we could, and we started trying to find more and more things, and so now we kind of sell everything in packages, and we do like a whole planned evening of entertainment as opposed to just the one performance.
How innovative. That's so cool.
I mean, we've done enough of the one-time performances to go
to learn. Yeah. I imagine that at a certain point you're just like, well, this doesn't work anymore. But thinking, putting it together as a package, I see that as a huge benefit, not only to you guys, but to your customer too. Everybody's getting this amazing value.
Yes, yeah.
And it's checking like all the boxes. When did you guys start doing that as packages?
Maybe a year into it, we probably started that but then those have just gotten bigger and more creative. And then people started making requests. I remember one time somebody asked us for they wanted parrots for an event.
Okay.
And Kaley's out there going, do I know anybody with parrots? What? So it's crazy the requests that we get.
Yeah.
But because we say that we do all this stuff, they think that we can. I think even one time somebody asked us for tigers for an event.
Wow.
And we're like, well, we have girls that can dress up like tigers and do contortion. How about that? And they were like, well, that's not quite a tiger, but sure, we'll hire that instead.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
But actually recently, because her husband does tents and he also does sound, so we've started collaborating with them, and now we do whole productions, and we produce whole event that did just aerial to then the entertainment company that does all, we can provide all your entertainment, to now we almost want to start doing productions because that's where he can do all the sound, he can do the tents, he can do the builds, and then we can provide all the aerial entertainment. And he has friends that do map projection and do so we're just getting bigger and bigger. And actually I think for Halloween they asked us about fireworks. They wanted us to provide the fireworks. We're like, well, we don't know
pyrotechnics.
But now we have enough connections and people in the industry, because we've been doing it for so long, that we do know who to go to ask for fireworks. So we're like, okay, actually I think we could make this work, oddly enough, because we do know people that do pyrotechnics. Exactly. And then I have a friend that gets shot out of a cannon.
Wow.
It's actually my mom's one of her good friends.
Yeah.
He was in circus with her growing up, and he gets shot out of a cannon. So Kaley's like, I think we need to hire him for something. Let's start doing people getting shot.
The sky is the limit.
The sky's
literally.
the limit. Whatever you can create, we're going to find it.
Oh man, that's so amazing. And I think you guys are 100% capable of doing these big production shows. I was looking at just different videos on your business pages and YouTube. Hypnotica.
Oh, thanks.
So cool. So tell me a little bit about the show and why you started it.
So because we came from the entertainment side and performing is so important to us, Kaley and I both, that's what we live for, is the stage. And so we knew right away that when we started the school, our school was going to be very performance-based, and we were going to 100% provide opportunities for people to do as many performances as we could provide for them. So every year, since the fundraiser show, we kind of call that our first performance that we did, our big one, our first production. And then every year since, we've done a different production with all of our students and performers.
Wow.
And then that's gotten bigger and bigger every single year. But again, with that, we had to learn to budget because we kind of went over the deep end one show. And then we were like, no, we can't do that again. We have to actually make money on these shows.
Right. Reel it in a little bit.
Reel it in a little bit. So, so now this with Hypnotica, that was our latest full student and entertainment showcase that we put on. And we rented out the Straz Center, and we had performers in the lobby doing stilt walking and
so cool. I don't think I've ever seen
acro.
that before. Like from the moment that you walked into the Straz Center, you were transported somewhere else.
Yeah.
And what a great idea and a great way to welcome everybody to the show. Who thought of that? Why?
Well, it's interesting how Kaley and I work so well and balance things off of each other. I am really like the technical person, and I figure out all the rigging, and I choreograph a lot of the routines, and I have like the whole like backbone of the show kind of created.
Yeah.
But Kaley is a detail person. And so she just is like, okay, we need people in the lobby. We need people in these crazy costumes. We need this whole story that we're going to tell. And so she comes up with like all these really cool ideas, and she'll be like, okay, I think we need to even decorate the whole theater. We need chandeliers in the theater. We need these like hanging whatever. We need to put curtains up over here. And so and I appreciate it because I don't have time for those details. Sometimes I'm just so focused on like the actual show that we're creating that all the other stuff is like whatever to me. I don't even care half the time. The girls will come up to me and be like, in the middle of the show, what color lipstick should I wear? And I'll be like, I'm caring about if you're safe on the rigging or not. I don't care what color
I'm
lipstick.
worried about your life.
I know.
Not your face, your life.
But then Kaley will be like, I think you need the pink lipstick, hun.
That's so awesome. I love seeing that. Like, I think there was like somebody handing out popcorn and just that vibe that totally transported you to somewhere else.
Yes.
So cool. And so is this show is like a choreographed show and it's just like a full-on production. Is that correct?
Yep.
Has it always been that way?
Yeah, every year. So we start, well, I guess it just depends on when the show is going to be, but we start usually 3 to 4 months ahead of time, and we start practicing and rehearsing, and we put it all to music. We find all the music. Kaley finds all the costumes, and then we just like create these routines, and we drill.
How do you find people to be in the actual show?
Is
it all just students? Or
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
it's all of our students, exactly. So. And this is what we want to provide for them. We want to give them the opportunity to perform. And so with this show, we actually kind of had a requirement that they couldn't be in the show unless they'd done another production before. So we'll do a winter showcase, which is coming up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of more for our beginners and our teens and our kids. They can all be in that show.
Right.
But then you had to have already done a performance to then be in the Straz show.
Okay, that makes sense. That's a good requirement.
Yeah. Just to get like, just to know how they're going to handle the pressure and the stage. And some people come to life, and then some people shut down.
Right.
And you need to help the people that are going to shut down get over that.
Right.
And then so that way they can shine on stage at the Straz Center.
Yeah. Yep. And it's scary if you've never performed.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrifying. So I like that there's both opportunities, the showcase that's a bit on a smaller scale, and then you've got this huge production really showcasing the talent that you have in the studio. And I imagine that gets new people to come in. They're like coming to see their friend perform, or whatever, and they're like, wow, she makes it look so easy. It's gonna be that easy for me, and then that's bringing in more people. Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was another thing, actually, I forgot to mention that even with the festivals that we did, because we do perform at a lot at festivals, and you don't really make as much money on a festival, but you see so many people, and they fall in love with what you're doing, and they're like, well, where did you learn this? How did you do this? And so then all of a sudden, like after every big event we do, we have a huge influx of students that come in because they saw us perform at whatever event. And so then, especially at these big shows that we put on in the Straz Center, after we do the show, the next thing I know, we have a big surge of people that come in because they're just so mesmerized by what we do. Although I have found I'm struggling with all of our marketing and advertising. was just our shows for a long time. And it was like we were just showing like our highest end stuff.
Right.
But then it kind of got to people were like, oh, well, I don't think I can do that because I'm not that talented. And it's like, but these are our students. Yes, of course you can do this. This is what we're going to get you to.
Yeah.
But they don't see that right away or understand right away. So I need to kind of go back and start showing like the process or showing the beginners and advertising them and showing that this is for everybody and and I truly believe that this is for everybody and that we can train anybody to become a performer.
Absolutely.
Anybody. You just have to have the dedication and the mindset. Same thing.
Consistency. Like literally, if you continue to do these things, you will get better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the other performances that you guys do. So you do a lot of big festivals.
Yes, yeah.
That's the word. Bigger festivals. So you were telling me before the show that you guys are just in love with music festivals.
Yeah.
So tell me how you got to the point where you were performing at festivals.
I think, there's this music festival that we love. It's called Halloween. And it's at a music park that Kaley and I had gone to a ton of times, Swanee Music Festival. Yeah. And it's beautiful, beautiful. And so it was just a magical place. It's where we became best friends. It's where we fell in love. We fell in love with the forest and just the music and our friendship and just all these people and the life and the community. So we always knew that would be something we wanted to do. Actually, funny story. I met one night, Kaley is such a performer. I met her out at a dance club. That's how we became best friends. Okay. And she's just in the center of the dance floor. She's got big fans in her hand. She's spinning around and dancing. She's the center of entertainment. Yeah. And she's just being herself, So she wasn't even an entertainer at the time. And so I just knew always that she was just gonna be a rock star on stage, and was like, you need to come, let's start an entertainment company, But so this is just something that we love to do, and it's a big part of our lives. So I think I just saw the Halloween it was coming up, and I found whoever was in charge of entertainment and wrote to them, and I just put it out there. I was like, hey, we're this aerial troupe out of Tampa. Here's some of the events we've done. Here's our pictures. Here's some videos. And sure enough, they wrote me back and were like, okay, cool, come, we'll hire you. So that was the first year, and that was just so amazing and just wow, I can't believe that worked out. And then every year since, and from that one, then we had videos that we got made from that festival. So then other festivals started hiring us, and then just more and more people started seeing us. So they started asking us to be a part of different things. And I just feel like you just do one thing, which leads to another, which leads to another, which just carries you on this journey. Yeah. I don't know.
And taking the chance to actually reach out. It's hard, you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to say yes, or if they'll even read this, or if this is even okay. But I find a lot of times that most people are like, oh, this is really cool. This is a new idea, or, and want to support those type of situations.
I feel like it took a while to understand, until you're known, you have to be the one reaching out,
right?
Right.
And
I just wanted to be like, well, they should find us. Why haven't they just found us? It's like, well, how are they going to find you if you don't have something created for them to find? So, you have to put forth the effort for a long time until all of a sudden, then it's reciprocated,
Right. Yeah, and I think that makes it even more worth it, though. Doing that work, you feel so you've accomplished something that when it does start coming back and people are then reaching out to you, you're like, oh, I built this. I did this.
I did it.
Yeah. And you guys also, we've kind of touched on the costumes that you guys do. The costumes are incredible. Some of the coolest costumes ever. And so you've started a clothing line called Dragon Skin. Is that correct?
Yeah. Kaley and another one of our dragons, she's one of our performers and teachers. She's actually a seamstress.
Oh,
and
okay.
so they work together, and they've created Dragon Skin. I think Kaley would be better to tell you about it. I'm pretty sure Kaley kind of comes up with a lot of the concepts and ideas, and then Jamie makes all of them.
Okay.
So she sews everything and creates the costumes. And she made a bunch of the costumes for our last Hypnotica
That's what
show.
I wanted to ask. Yeah, there's some like circus, like the stripes. You guys had like a monkey routine. So she's actually putting those all together.
Yeah.
And was she just one of your students, or?
She started off as a student.
Okay.
And she was an incredible performer too.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal. And so we right away spotted her and we're like, okay, you need to start performing with us. And she'd just been making her own costumes. She was a go-go dancer for a long time. And she'd been making her costumes for years.
Okay.
And so then Kaley was like, well, how do you feel about working with like spandex material? Because she'd been making like cute, go-go costumes.
Right.
And now we're like, okay, but now we need you to work with spandex, make spandex costumes. And I guess she would have to tell you more about that transition, but she picked it up right away and figured it out, and just now she's crushing it.
Yeah. So you guys have somebody that's helping you make all the costumes for your performances. You guys are building these performances. I mean, it seems like you're setting yourself up for big productions.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you first started Aerial Dragons, was that even an idea in your mind, or has it just kind of grown into that?
I think it's mostly just grown and evolved. I mean, I always knew I wanted a school. I saw that, and I knew we loved performing, so we saw that. But just like how to get there seemed, who knew? Like there was no path to follow, nobody to guide us really, nobody to say this is the way to get there. Yeah. I feel like I mean, I remember being in theater class and telling my theater professors I wanted to run a circus school, and he's like, but there's no such thing as circus schools. I was like, well, there's gonna be.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So somehow we've just figured it out as we went, and then just with more and more opportunities, we got bigger, and just I don't even know looking back how we've got here, but I don't think any of this was the vision when we started. It's just grown and evolved since we started.
How beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
So beautiful. I think we've kind of covered pretty much everything. So now we're at my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what is your favorite performance of yourself that you've ever done?
Let me think. Goodness. The last couple Strass shows that we've done, I've been really, really proud of our routines that we created. The last one, we did a teacher number, and we were all clowns on roller skates.
Oh.
And we did a 12-minute,
12 minutes?
A 12-minute routine, just of just goofiness and fun and...
Wait, roller and aerial?
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
That's so cool. And that was at the last Hypnotica?
The Hypnotica show, yep. So I really, really loved that routine. And then the routine the year before, we were like scary demon creatures, and I got to do cloud swing again. And it was funny because when we created the routine, we had two girls that did rope, and then me and another girl wanted to do cloud swing. And so we're like, okay, perfect. I'll do cloud swing because I like cloud swing, and the other two girls will do rope because they like rope. Well, one of the rope girls ended up getting hurt 2 weeks before the show. Yeah, I think it was just like a overuse injury. She'd just been training way too hard, and she'd just gotten accepted to NECA, so she was going to go off, and that was super important to her to not hurt herself even more. So she and we understood, don't push it. You've got a whole year of training in this amazing school that you're going to, so stay safe. But what that meant was I then had to learn rope.
How long did you have?
I had 2 weeks
to
learn.
Oh my goodness.
So what we ended up doing was we each picked up one of her sequences.
Okay.
And so we all kind of were doing something different, and it came together and it worked out, and it was amazing. And I actually was really, really proud of myself for figuring this out. And I went from being in half of a routine to in the whole entire routine that I had to be up the whole time, and was like, oh my God, and then doing an apparatus that I don't really do.
Right. Terrifying.
But it really came together, and it was amazing, and we got to be creepy. I almost always prefer to be pretty and beautiful and sparkly. Yeah. That is my character. Yeah. I like to smile on stage.
Right.
So for me, it was really out of character to be this demon thing, and it was really kind of fun. I liked it. Made me step out of my shell a little bit, and then all of a sudden now I just want to do creepy all the time. I don't know.
You're like, I need more of this in my life.
I need more of this in my life. That's why I didn't like to be an actor, because I just wanted to be pretty.
Right, right. And now you're like, give me the creep.
Give me the creep, yeah.
I love it. And are both of those videos on YouTube somewhere?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
great,
so.
great.
I mean, do we have the whole I think we just have clips of the
Okay.
shows up. I do have videos of the whole thing, but I haven't made them public for everybody.
Okay. I'll need to see those.
Okay. I'll give
Sounds
this-
so cool.
Yeah.
And now, what is your favorite performance of someone else, maybe right now or all time, whatever? It's a hard one.
It's a hard, yeah, because I just get inspired by something new
Yeah.
all the time.
So, maybe recently?
Well, I think last year we took a trip to Vegas to just go see all the Cirque shows and stuff and get re-inspired, because we do put out so much all the time
Yeah.
that sometimes we need to just go refuel ourselves.
Right. What a great place to do that. Yeah, Las Vegas Cirque
Yeah.
shows. Heck yeah. Okay.
I think I made Kaley and one of our other students, we were all there together, see so many circus shows that they were like, okay, I didn't think I could be circused out, but I think I've seen enough circus for a while.
Yeah. So going back to Las Vegas and Cirque
Vegas.
shows.
Yeah, so I remember I had heard a lot about Le Rêve, and I really, really wanted to see that. But then somebody else was telling us, they're like, well, actually the best one is Absinthe. You should absolutely see Absinthe. And I hadn't really heard anything of it. So I was like, I don't know. And Kaley's like, no, let's go see this show. And we went, and it was the funniest show I have probably ever seen.
Really?
Absinthe. I highly recommend it. It was raunchy.
Yeah.
So raunchy. And I feel like the entire show just makes you feel uncomfortable. You're sitting on the edge of your seat. The circus acts are like death defying.
Oh my gosh.
Literally death defying. The whole time you're on the edge of your seat. Like, I have seen circus a lot.
Right.
For 25 years I've been watching it, even longer than that. And these acts had me sitting on the edge of my seat,
Wow.
like, oh my God, I hope that they're okay. I hope this performer's okay. And how they have it, like, it's a theater in the round, and so the stage is in the dead center.
Okay.
And so, like, the roller skating act that they have, you know, the front row, this girl's roller skates are like flying by the people's faces.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Though.
I don't even think I could have sat in the front row. I would have been like,
Right,
ducking the whole
right.
time. So that was such an incredible show, and they give you all the feels. I like the shows where, you know, you go in and they like tantalize all of your senses, like just the smell of the theater, and just they like the sound and the visuals. And like, I even went to one of the Love shows, and they pull this whole parachute over the audience, and so you're like touching the parachute, so they
So cool.
literally stimulate every single one of your senses in these shows.
Yeah.
So I just Vegas is incredible for that. If you need inspiration
Yeah.
for circus stuff, that's all I go for. You know, some people go for gambling, but
Yeah.
I'm like, no, every
Yeah.
circus show
Right.
I can
Yes.
possibly see.
Right. Amazing.
So Absinthe, I highly, highly, highly recommend that. Le Rêve did turn out to be incredible. That one is amazing too. The set that they have built, I don't know if you know anything about it, but it's like a whole water show, but it's got this amazing waterfall that falls down out of the ceiling.
Wow.
I don't know, it must be like 70 feet
Wow.
of waterfall, and they do projection mapping along the waterfall, and then the aerialists are like dancing in and out of the waterfall.
Wow.
And it's just like, there's divers that are doing like high dives, and people doing stuff in the belts, and synchronized swimmers in the water, and then all these aerial acts, and then they lower these huge things in through the ceiling, and they're like diving over the water. I don't even know. It's just
Wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that was just such a large scale,
Yeah.
huge production, whereas Absinthe is like a really intimate, close kind of production. I loved both of them. They were both incredible. They were both the top of the like creme de la creme of all the circus performances. So I highly recommend anybody see those. But they're definitely both very, very different. You know,
Yeah.
one is like an intimate, raunchy,
Yeah.
like all the feels kind of show. And then the other one is just an awe spectacular
Yeah.
kind of show that's just going to like blow your mind with what they've come up with and what they
Yeah.
can even accomplish. And the rigging of that show, like everything's seamless. It just flows in and out. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how Cirque works. Like, well, this isn't a Cirque show, but it's put on
Right.
just as high
Right.
quality. But yeah, everything just flows in and flows out. You don't see any of the riggers. It's just like magic. Everything's just like pure magic when you go to these Vegas shows.
Yeah. I really love your passion. I really do. You can tell how much you really, really love this life. And I mean, how long have you been in this industry?
Yeah, so 25 years I've been doing it because I started performing at 8 and I'm 33 now.
Yeah. So after 25 years and you still have this amount of passion for it, like, I just hope that is me, that I still love this just as much. And I don't see that changing, I think for me is the moment I took that first spin, I was like, this is it. This is what I was meant to do,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to check those shows out on YouTube. And how can people connect with you? Find the studio.
Yeah, the studio, they can find us through Facebook, Instagram, Aerial Dragon Studios, or Aerial Dragons Entertainment. So those are our 2 companies. On the website, you can go to either website, aerialdragonstudios.com or aerialdragons.com. My email address is on there. You can email us. I think those are probably the best ways. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you again so much.
Of course.
I mean, this information is priceless, and thank you for sharing it so freely. Your space is amazing, and everything that you guys are doing is so incredible. When I first started working on the show and putting it together, I was working for Brandy Godcharles out in Citrus Park, in Brandyland Citrus Park.
Yeah.
And she was like, you have to talk to Aerial Dragons.
Aww.
Like, they are doing everything right. So again, thank you so much for allowing me to come in your home and take class and get to speak with you.
Of course, yeah.
And that's it, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to that episode of The Aerial Hour. If you want to know more about this episode, head over to theaerialhour.com to review our show notes. Give us a like and follow on all the social media platforms, mainly Instagram and Facebook, and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you have someone that we should be interviewing, go ahead and drop me a note at theaerialhour@gmail.com. We have big plans to travel the country, but are slightly limited in where we can go because it's too cold everywhere else. So we're going to be in Florida for about the next month, and then we will slowly start heading west ever so slightly while still staying in the lower states to stay warm. So if you know anybody that's going to be in either Alabama, Louisiana, or East Texas, please let me know, and I will make sure to drop them a line. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you next week.
We have girls that can dress up like tigers and do contortion. How about that? And they were like, well, that's not quite a tiger, but sure, we'll hire that instead.
That's awesome. That's so cool.